Imagine for a moment, a place beyond the clouds, where colors shimmer more brightly than any rainbow, where trees can walk and talk, and rivers glow with a soft golden hue. Now, imagine that this vision wasn't from a dream or a movie but from a little girl who claimed she had seen it all with her own eyes. At the tender age of 4, Akiane Kramarik wasn't just any child, she was a prodigy with a gift unlike any other. Born into a family that didn't follow religion, Akiane began to experience the unimaginable. She met Jesus. Not only did she meet him, but he guided her hand in painting stunning depictions of heaven, filling canvases with scenes so divine that even the most devout believers found themselves questioning, could this truly be what lies beyond? But this story is much more than about just the art. It's about faith, miracles, and how a little girl's visions changed not only her life but the lives of countless others. Today, we will take you on a journey through her most profound experiences, her encounters with the divine, and the extraordinary art that has inspired the world. So sit back, because what you're about to hear might just reshape everything you thought you knew about heaven. Akiane's beginnings, an unexpected path to faith. Akiane Kramarik was born on July 9, 1994, in the state of Illinois, USA, raised in a household where neither religion nor God played a role. Akiane's early years were, by most standards, quite ordinary. Her father came from a family with Russian Orthodox roots but had long abandoned any faith, while her mother, of Lithuanian descent, was a self-proclaimed atheist. There was no prayer, no church visits, no Bible stories, just a quiet, secular life in a small town. And yet, something inexplicable happened when Akiane was just 4 years old. She began hearing a word she had never heard before, over and over again in her mind: God. It was as if a mysterious force was whispering into her thoughts. She couldn't understand what it meant, but the word resonated with her deeply. Soon after, Akiane had her first encounter with the divine. She described it as a moment of pure clarity, meeting Jesus and being taken to heaven. What strikes me about this moment is how unprepared Akiane was for this profound experience. She didn't grow up with stories of angels or miracles. She wasn't taught to believe in a higher power. And yet, here she was, encountering something that would shape her entire life. It makes me wonder, could these experiences come to any of us? Regardless of what we believe, is there something about childhood innocence that allows for such profound spiritual connections? The first paintings, divine guidance at a tender age. After her initial encounter with Jesus, Akiane found herself compelled to express what she had seen. But she didn't just describe her experiences with words, she picked up a pencil and began to draw. At the age of 4, she created her first sketches of heaven and the divine beings she had seen. The images that flowed from her hands were not those of a typical child. Her paintings were intricate, filled with depth, and somehow carried a sense of maturity far beyond her years. Her parents, initially skeptical, couldn't believe what they were witnessing. How could a child, who had never been exposed to religious imagery or formal art training, create such masterpieces? Akiane insisted that it wasn't her alone. Jesus was guiding her hand. He was showing her the details, the colors, the forms. Example, one of her most famous early works is a painting she called The Prince of Peace. In it, she depicted Jesus as she had seen him, gentle, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold the weight of the world's sorrows. What's fascinating is that she wasn't content with just painting his face. She insisted on using unusual materials for her work. For example, she once pricked her finger to get the exact shade of red she needed to paint the blood in Jesus's wounds. She even used strands of her own hair to create the fine details of his eyelashes. I can't help but marvel at the depth of this experience. To use her own blood to get the right color. What child would think to do that? It's as if her connection to the divine wasn't just emotional or spiritual, it was physical, tangible. It makes me wonder if, in those moments, Akiane felt more connected to heaven than to earth. Visions of heaven, a world beyond our own. Akiane's descriptions of heaven are unlike anything found in religious texts. She spoke of golden gates and talking trees, rivers that sparkled with light, and colors so vivid that they didn't even exist in our world. Her vision of heaven was more than just a place of peace, it was a living, breathing world, filled with creatures and wonders beyond imagination. In one of her many accounts, Akiane described the trees in heaven as not only being able to walk but also communicate. The flowers there were unlike anything found on earth. Their petals, shimmering with an ethereal glow, could release dewdrops of liquid light. She also spoke of celestial music, unlike any sound heard by human ears. According to Akiane, the very atmosphere of heaven vibrated with a symphony that resonated with the soul. Example stories. Her encounter with Jesus wasn't just limited to visions. At 6 years old, during a family outing at a park, Akiane disappeared for hours. Her frantic parents searched everywhere, only to find her calmly standing, seemingly out of thin air. When they asked where she had been, Akiane responded that she had been with Jesus in heaven, and it had only felt like a few moments. Stories like this are where belief and skepticism often collide. How does a child vanish for hours, only to return with such a serene explanation? Could it be a child's imagination running wild? Or was this truly an extraordinary event? For me, Akiane's calmness during these moments suggests something deeper was at play. There's a consistency in her storytelling that makes it hard to dismiss these experiences as mere fantasies. The impact of divine art, Akiane's influence on the world. As Akiane grew older, her paintings began to gain worldwide recognition. Religious believers saw her as a modern-day prophet, someone whose visions could inspire and affirm their faith. Her paintings were exhibited in galleries and sold for extraordinary sums, with the proceeds often donated to charity. One of her most significant moments of validation came when a young boy named Colton Burpo, who had a near-death experience and claimed to have visited heaven, recognized Akiane's painting of Jesus. According to Colton, it was the exact face of Jesus he had seen during his own time in heaven. This moment, when two unrelated visions of Jesus seemed to converge, sent ripples through both religious and secular communities. What can we learn from Akiane's journey? As Akiane's story continues to unfold, it leaves us with more questions than answers. What does it mean to be divinely inspired? Is there a place where art and spirituality meet in ways that we can't fully comprehend? For Akiane, her paintings are more than just works of art, they are expressions of her relationship with God. A connection she continues to maintain even as her visions become less frequent. In the end, what we take away from Akiane's story is more than just a series of beautiful paintings. It's the idea that perhaps, through creativity, we all have the potential to touch the divine, to express something beyond ourselves, and to offer the world a glimpse of something greater. Akiane's gift, a family transformed. Akiane's spiritual journey not only changed her own life but also deeply impacted her family, who, in many ways, was the most unlikely to believe in such divine experiences. Before Akiane's visions, her parents had no religious background or spiritual practice. Her father, Mark, a chef of Russian descent, came from an Orthodox Christian family, but he had long abandoned the faith. Her mother, Forelli, originally from Lithuania, identified as an atheist. They had no interest in religion, nor did they encourage their children to pursue it. And yet, Akiane's persistent connection with the divine slowly began to chip away at their skepticism. As her visions of Jesus grew stronger and her artwork continued to develop, her parents couldn't deny that something extraordinary was happening. Her paintings were too detailed, too precise, for a child who had never been exposed to religious art or teachings. Moreover, the stories Akiane shared of heaven, of seeing angels, walking through golden fields, and meeting Jesus, were beyond the scope of any 4-year-old's imagination. It's intriguing to think about how Akiane's experiences not only shaped her life but also her family's. In the face of undeniable talent and what seemed to be divine inspiration, her parents underwent a transformation of their own. I imagine the emotional turmoil they must have faced, being forced to reconsider their entire worldview because of their young daughter's experiences. It's a powerful reminder that faith can emerge in the most unexpected places, often challenging even the most steadfast beliefs. Their journey is a testament to how deeply we can be moved by things we don't fully understand, especially when it comes from those we love. Art as a portal to the divine, the creation of Prince of Peace. One of Akiane's most iconic paintings is Prince of Peace, a portrait of Jesus that she began when she was just 8 years old. But the story behind the painting is just as fascinating as the work itself. After years of experiencing visions of Jesus, Akiane had been waiting for the moment to create a true likeness of him. But she struggled to find the right model. Akiane had a vivid memory of what Jesus looked like, from his hair and beard to the exact shade of his eyes. She prayed to God to send her someone who resembled Jesus, someone who could be the physical manifestation of the image she had seen in her visions. Then one day, as if in answer to her prayer, a carpenter knocked on her family's door, looking for work. The moment Akiane saw him, she knew he was the one she had been waiting for. His features matched her vision of Jesus almost exactly. After some convincing, the carpenter agreed to sit for the portrait, though he humbly admitted he didn't feel worthy of being the model for such a holy figure. The creation of Prince of Peace took over 40 hours. And Akiane poured every bit of her soul into the painting. She went to great lengths to ensure that every detail was perfect, even pricking her finger to use her own blood to achieve the right shade of red for the wounds on Jesus's hands. The result was a breathtaking depiction of Jesus, his eyes radiating a profound mixture of sorrow and peace, his face bathed in divine light. The story of how Akiane found the model for Prince of Peace is nothing short of miraculous. It's one of those moments that makes you question whether there truly is some higher force orchestrating events in our lives. The fact that she prayed for a model, and then a carpenter, someone who echoes the humble profession of Jesus himself, showed up at her door feels like more than just a coincidence. I think we all have moments in our lives when something happens that we can't quite explain. Moments that feel too perfectly aligned to be mere chance. For Akiane, this was one of those moments, a tangible sign that her visions were not just figments of her imagination, but something far greater, the global impact, how Prince of Peace reached the world. Once the painting was complete, it didn't take long for Prince of Peace to gain attention. Akiane's family began receiving requests from art galleries, religious organizations, and even television networks. The portrait was hailed as one of the most authentic depictions of Jesus in modern art, with believers praising it for its spiritual depth and emotional intensity. The painting reached a wider audience when Colton Burpo, a young boy who had experienced a near-death vision of heaven, saw Akiane's portrait. Colton, whose story was popularized in the book and movie Heaven is for Real, claimed that Akiane's painting was the closest likeness to the Jesus he had seen during his near-death experience. This connection between two children, both claiming to have seen Jesus, added an even deeper layer of intrigue to Akiane's story. Example stories. There are countless examples throughout history of individuals who claim to have encountered divine beings or experienced visions of heaven. What makes Akiane's case unique is the undeniable talent with which she captured these experiences. Art has always been a powerful medium for expressing faith and spirituality, but rarely has it been so directly tied to personal visions of the divine. Her paintings have inspired people around the world, many of whom see them as more than just works of art. They are spiritual windows into another realm. What resonates with me most about Akiane's impact is how her art transcends religious boundaries. Whether or not you believe in her visions, there's no denying the emotional power of her work. I think it's this universality that makes her paintings so compelling. They speak to something deep within all of us, a longing for connection, for understanding, for something beyond the material world. Even as a skeptic, I find myself moved by the beauty and depth of her art, which seems to capture the essence of something greater than ourselves. Exploring the themes of Akiane's work, The themes present in Akiane's paintings are as rich and complex as her visions themselves. Many of her works revolve around the concepts of light and darkness, reflecting the duality of the divine and the human experience. In Prince of Peace, for example, Akiane uses light to highlight Jesus's face, while shadows play a role in conveying the pain and suffering he endured. The interplay between light and dark serves as a visual representation of the tension between joy and sorrow, redemption and sacrifice. But Akiane doesn't just stop at religious figures. Her paintings often depict celestial landscapes, otherworldly creatures, and abstract concepts that challenge the viewer to think beyond the physical world. Her vision of heaven is not a static place, but one filled with movement, life, and color. The trees, the rivers, the animals, all are alive. All are part of a larger, divine symphony. One of the things I find most fascinating about Akiane's art is how it invites you to explore your own beliefs. Whether you're religious or not, there's something about her work that challenges you to think about the nature of existence and the possibility of something beyond this life. Her use of light and shadow, in particular, speaks to the complexities of the human experience. It's a reminder that even in moments of darkness, there is always light to be found if we look for it. Miracles and moments of divine intervention. As Akiane continued to paint, her life was marked by a series of events that many have called miraculous. One of the most well-known stories involves Akiane's mysterious disappearance from a park at the age of 6. During a family outing, she suddenly vanished without a trace, leaving her parents and park authorities in a state of panic. After hours of searching, Akiane reappeared as suddenly as she had disappeared, completely unharmed. When asked where she had been, Akiane calmly explained that she had been with Jesus in heaven. To her, it felt like only a few minutes had passed, though in reality, she had been missing for several hours. Her parents were stunned, but by this point, they had come to accept that their daughter's connection to the divine was beyond anything they could explain. Stories like these are the kind that make you stop and think. Could it really be possible that Akiane was transported to another realm, even for just a short time? Or is there another explanation for her disappearance? What I find most compelling is how matter-of-factly Akiane describes these events. There's no sense of confusion or fear in her retelling, only a calm certainty that she had been in a place far beyond this world. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, it's hard not to be moved by the confidence and peace she exudes in the face of such extraordinary experiences. The role of faith and art in today's world. As Akiane's fame grew, so did the attention she received from religious communities around the world. Her work was seen as a modern-day miracle, a tangible connection to the divine. But Akiane herself remained humble about her role. She has often said that she doesn't see herself as a prophet or a saint. She simply feels that she was given a gift, one that she is meant to share with the world. Her paintings have been displayed in religious museums, galleries, and even churches, where they are viewed as more than just art. They are seen as spiritual touchstones. The proceeds from her work, often sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, have been donated to charities that support children in need. Particularly in Africa, Akiane has always believed that her gift is meant to help others. Not just financially, but spiritually as well. I think Akiane's humility is one of the most remarkable aspects of her story. Despite all the attention and praise, she has never sought fame or fortune. For her, the act of creating art is an expression of her relationship with God. Not a way to gain recognition. It's a reminder that true art, whether it's painting, writing, or any other form of expression, comes from a place of sincerity and purpose. When we create with intention, we have the power to touch lives in ways we might never fully understand. Lessons from Akiane's journey. Akiane's journey is one that defies easy explanation. Whether you believe in her divine visions or not, there is no denying the impact she has had on the world. Her art has inspired millions. Her story has touched the hearts of believers and skeptics alike, and her work continues to challenge our understanding of faith, creativity, and the mysteries of the universe. In reflecting on her life and her art, we are reminded that there are forces in this world that we may never fully comprehend. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps Akiane's story is not meant to give us answers, but to inspire us to keep asking questions, to continue seeking, exploring, and creating. As we look at her paintings, we are invited to see the world through her eyes, eyes that have glimpsed something extraordinary, something that transcends the everyday. And in doing so, we are reminded that there is beauty to be found in the unknown, in the spaces between belief and doubt, light and shadow, heaven and earth.